Alrighty, hey guys, it's ZenAku here again. Going to be showing you DT drop in PVT. And the map that I'm going to be showing you where I did it is just on Whirlwind. Now Whirlwind is a very good map to do on just because it's so large. And it's very difficult for the Terran to scout, mainly because of the there's just so much area in the main for him being able to scout the tech with either it being a Reaper or even just a scan as well. Like he could either scan the natural to see if you've expanded or not, or if like how many gases you've taken out of the natural, or you can scan in the main, but then you can also hide your tech down this side or even just down that side here as well. Now in particular to note about this game, he actually goes for a command center first, where he gets a somewhat of just a small lead at the start of the game. It's not the biggest deal. I'll show you the SCV count as the game progresses on, but obviously it's not the ideal scenario for a normal PvT, where if I see him go command center first, then I should also be trying to either not get that cybernetic score or take my as much gas as I can and just try to get the Nexus down as fast as possible. So I'll quickly mention what I've just done so far. So far, like I normally do in every other game, I made that first Zealot, got it to just about before completion, and went down to my natural to see if he was eBay blocking me, which it normally is a little bit more rare on this map, but it still happens. So after I've done that, I've quickly made a mothership core as soon as possible. That's just like so it gets as much energy as possible, defend against any cheese or anything like that, or if it had just any pressure in general. Then straight after that I get my gas, because that's the next thing you want to be taking. You want to get that as fast as possible, and also getting your second pylon. Now the second pylon is normally where you're going to be proxying your tech. You can either put it down here or you can chuck it down here as well. I personally like it here a little bit better, because later on you can also put your forges here as well, which this area here between the main and the natural is the area which is going to be drop the least, or the least likely chance for it to get destroyed if he was going to drop you. And if he was going to go directly for that, he would have to go past all your units, and obviously he would lose too much, and you could just counterattack and do something like that. Now with his build, I'll just keep playing it on for a little bit, just at normal game speed. I'm just making my standard Stalker at the start of the game. This is just in case if he goes for if he just, like with his first couple of Marines, just pressures across the map with about 5 of them or something like that. And the Stalker, obviously, for those who don't know, is able to actually the Stalker outranges the Marine by 1, so you're actually able to kite the Stalker from across the map, and with perfect micro and perfect ping, which is a little bit hard to do still, because I'm playing on Korea from Australia, so I get about 150 to 200, so it's not only the best, but it's still kind of manageable. And so the build he's chosen to do is he goes for 2 extra racks and goes for that third command center. Now normally against the DT drop, this isn't the best case scenario. The best case scenario is obviously he just doesn't have any missile turrets in his main base, or actually in the natural mineral line, but he just has one here because it doesn't really help as much. He will get the extra energy from that third command center, where he'll be able to get those extra scans, but normally it doesn't matter too much. Now, just to mention something particular with this game, I probably was being a little bit too greedy. I could have made another Stalker just in case to be able to deal with those Marines a bit better. Basically, not too much to say here, just constantly making probes. With my first 100 gas, after I've taken the second assimilator, and you've gotten the warp gate tech and the first Stalker out, you're going to be making the Twilight Council, and just chucking it down at the natural or wherever, I mean, it's basically flipping a coin about where the Terran is going to scan, or if he comes in with a Reaper or something like that. So what else? I think that's about it, all I can really say. Oh yeah, after you've gotten the Twilight Council down, it's very important to get that robot down straight away, because you want to be making that for the Warp Prism obviously as soon as possible, because the timings do line up quite well. So also just getting down my second gateway, and after I think I chuck down my forges first, yep, and I get my 2 extra gases. This basically just says that just like your regular timings in PvT, where you go for that double forge instead of going for that Twilight Council first, this is going to obviously just keep me back, keep me still in the game. If the DTs do okay damage, or they just don't do enough, they'll keep me with like good upgrades with the Terran, which I don't think he's actually started his E-base yet. So we'll keep playing a little bit longer. So obviously making that DT, the Dark Shrine as soon as it's available, and just chrono boosting the Warp Prism out, which is already here. Now, a style I like to do is always, you start off with 2 gateways. It's not really committing to 3 because I think the first time I saw somebody do it was SOS does it. He basically goes 2 gateways into another 2 gateways before he takes his 3rd base, and then totaling 6 after he's taken his 3rd base. And then obviously if the Terrans are letting you, which you can normally tell by the lack of 3rd command center, you can just add those extra gateways off 1 base and then just defend with sentries. But anyway, so the first thing, I'll just put in slow speed now. So as soon as Dark Shrine's finished, around about 750 or so like that, you can get it quicker if you take the gases at the very start of the game, but this is more of like an economical one. So just making those 2 DTs, and when you can, just try to chrono boost the gateways, because that'll mean that you can get obviously the next set of DTs out in just a second. So I think, best case scenario is that you do that. Now, like I was saying, this is kind of a coin flippy kind of build, but when the Terran isn't prepared for it, it can do quite a lot of damage. So far he does have his eBays, or his eBays are almost finished, and he's got 1 scan. Yep, just 1 scan available for him. So I've got about 25 energy of area to move around with and just do as much damage as I possibly can. So I'll just play this a little bit more. So what you want to do is you want to drop 1 at the natural. And just, you want to try to keep your eye on it, make sure that it doesn't try to like float down here if there was another missile turret down there. And obviously, so that's his first scan. And very important that you don't lose the Warp Prism. You're trying to just bait him out, because he has to choose with, how many Marines has he got in here? He's only got 11 Marines. Now, a DT actually surprisingly takes quite a lot of damage before it dies, so you can try and always be baiting the units out with using the Warp Prism to distract his attention, or using the DT as well, or just like slowly escaping. You'll see so many situations where it just escapes on a few HP. So I'll just keep playing it here. Now, it's very important to note that as you're doing this, your macro doesn't slack off back at home, because so many times when you're doing a DT drop and you're trying to control with the DTs, you'll often just get this massive mineral bank, because you're spending so much gas early on, but you're not really using those minerals. So it's important to always try to get those extra gateways, which I'm just about to do now. I'm going to start my upgrades in just a minute. That's just in case if I need the extra gas to make the DTs. Something you could do is just start the upgrades and then thinking like, oh, I could do a little bit extra damage here with some more DTs. Just cancel the upgrades and do them again. So that's probably something I could have improved on in this game as well. So just 1 DT here still. And I noticed that his Marines are just trying to sit around there. So I walk in some more DTs over here, and I'll just play this a little bit faster. So send 1 to the natural again, so he has no detection there again. Now this is something that you can abuse as well. When the Terran just isn't playing possibly as best as he could, you really need to have the turret in the most efficient possible position. He chose to put his at the back of the mineral line, and so I'm able to get these 2 engineering bases for free, which also will put his upgrades even further behind while I'm starting my 1-1. And also during this entire time, I'm also sending a DT down at the natural, which is doing decent damage. I've already killed 15 workers, and I'm denying so much mining time as it is right now. If we look at the units lost, he's lost 800, almost 900 resources, but that also includes, that doesn't include mining time, and all things like that, the damage that I'm doing killing these eBays and stuff like that. So the fact that he's got this 3rd command center normally means that I need to also expanding very soon. There isn't much threat because of how greedy he was being at the start of the game. So I'll play this a little bit further. Now basically you want to try get, this is where it gets a little bit weird, because the DT drop isn't obviously a standard thing in the metagame, obviously, because it's kind of a coin flip. If he scouts it or he has the missile turrets there, it doesn't do as much damage as it probably should. So what you want to try and do is get basically, if he tries to attack you with a decent amount of units, which in this game it didn't really matter as much because he was being greedy, so his unit count was a little bit down. So I just got an immortal just to be safe. But you also want to try to get that Templar Archives as fast as possible. Obviously, the double upgrades help a lot for the late game transitions when you transition into Colossus and stuff like that. And you also want to get charged too. Now, making sure this 3rd base gets up as soon as possible is also very important. What will that mean is that the earlier it is, the more HP it'll obviously have, and the earlier you can use the photon overcharge. And depending on how many units he has, you'll be able to easily defend it with that. So basically just adding on those extra gateways, like I was saying, got the 4 gates, taking the 3rd base, and then also adding those extra 2. I think I added these extra 2 because I just thought that my macro wasn't actually probably the best this game. I could have got that 3rd base a little bit quicker, and that's why I was like, okay, I'll just add these gateways on for now and just play it like that. So I'll play it again just in regular game speed. And so at this point, it's a very difficult position. I'm 55 probes to his 37 SCVs. That's like, obviously a very difficult situation for him. He's already been put behind, even though he already has that 3rd command center. Like I said, I already did as much damage, so I definitely have a lead, and I also have an upgrade lead, which is very important, especially when you're going for these this zealot heavy style against marines and stuff like that, where the zealots are able to just tank so much damage. And his units obviously just aren't able to really kill yours. So I'll just play this a little bit further ahead. So basically what he's saying at this point is that he really needs to do some form of damage, or he's just going to lose the game at this point, from the econ lead that I'm going to get. Basically, yeah, so charge lots, and probably shouldn't have lost that Templar there, but not the biggest deal. And with this many charge lots and this many units already has here, there's not much really you can do from this point. I'll speed it up, basically just show you how I transition for the rest of this game. Always having so after you've got a decent immortal count, to know that he's not going to be really your army isn't going to lose to his, basically, on the ground. You need to have these observers in good positions. This is a very standard position you should normally have it in, obviously, so he isn't fly plus this dead area that you can't have ground units. And I think I'm probably being a little bit too greedy in this game. I probably should have about 4 stalkers here, or even just a Templar and a cannon, just to see if anything was coming. But in saying that, I also managed to keep his unit count down, which also means that if he were to drop me, he would only have a certain amount of units, which means that he can only really be attacking me from one spot, which means that I can kind of cut those units and even get further ahead by being more greedy with the faster tech switching into Colossus or something like that. So even at this point, I'm at 150 supply to 120. It's quite a big deal. What else is really... Basically not much else to say here, just powering. And even at this point, my 2-2 just finished. He's only got 1-1. And I've got 3 Immortals, 3 Templar with almost 2 Storms on each of them. And yeah, there's just not much you can do at this point. So I'll play it out a little for you guys. And like I said, there's just not much you can really do. He tries to counterattack with a drop, but even at this point, I'm already going to be on top of his production facilities. I already have that upgrade advantage. And I think, let's have a look back at my base. I actually don't pull my probes here, but it's not the biggest deal. He's only got not really that many units here to be able to really finish the game with 1 drop, and I'm basically on top of all of his stuff. Something else to note as well is that once you have like a decent lead in the game, or something you can do especially on big maps, because it's so hard to put your observers in good positions, you should try and use, obviously have your observer maybe in an area which is a little bit harder to see, in like something like this on top of the high ground, and then just put pylons across the side of the map. This will just make it that it's a little bit harder for, obviously you can see the drops coming. You just have this ring of defense. If you can look on the minimap on the bottom left, where you'll be like, there are small areas where he'll be able to fly it in, but those are just a little bit, it's very hard. If you play a perfect defensive game, normally the counter to that is obviously to be really greedy, in which case you'll just fall behind. But in saying that, I had a really good lead in this game, so I was easily able to do something like this and really seal out the rest of it. And I'd say it's a bayonet. So all in all, just keep your macro up and keep it going. I'd say this build probably works about 50% of the time. Like I was saying, if you don't manage to get it scouted, if you don't manage to get luckily scanned, I think actually in the early game he tried to scan me and it perfectly just missed. It only saw 2 gateways and a robo. That's very normal to see at that timing when a Terran normally does scan to see what's going on. And normally a Terran will try to cut back and not really have these turrets in these positions, because what will happen is they'll have a turret just at the front to see if there's any like early DT rush without the drop. And normally you won't see very many Terrans try to put it in the mineral line. and that's where you can get obviously a decent amount of wins from that. But anyway guys, that's the DT drop that I did on Whirlwind. Hopefully you guys learned something from that game. And yeah, if you have any comments, just feel free to leave them in the YouTube comment section. And yeah, thanks for watching.